Hey you guys, this is Jess with Sourceful Journey, back with another video. I got so excited. So you guys remember I did a video recently pointing out the notion that not all perspectives require a medicinal solution. And I hit up on the topic. It was more so that how I felt like a lot of medicines interfered with one's connection with the spiritual space, meaning more so being connected with God and with the spiritual thing. And I really left a point with you guys in one of those videos about how to think back to the times prior to our present day, how people were able to go along about their day with no issues, right? And even those who had spiritual gifts of that time, of the time of old, if you will, how they were able to still self-sustain and move forward, and they actually had more of a stronger connection with God and with the team, the spiritual team, because there was no need for prescriptions and things then. Just really trying to get people to understand that there has to be a reason why there's such a huge push when it comes to this need for, there's a prescription for this scenario, for this issue that you're having, or that, and when I say issue, I mean issue loosely, because it's all about how one perceives it, right? The point I'm trying to drive home here is because I just came across this book that I will be reading pretty soon. So that's the book. It says, Bad Pharma: How Drug Companies Mislead Doctors and Harm Patients. So it goes a lot deeper. It's kind of like, when you think about it, when it comes to the doctors as well as Big Pharma, who's at blame here? Some would say both. You know, to each his own. I'm not gonna share my perspective on it because I'm kind of like in the middle on it. I think, honestly, well, no, I'll go ahead and share it, never mind. I honestly think it could be both because I fail to believe that Big Pharma is the only one that knows what they're putting into these actual medicinal solutions. I really do believe that the doctors are aware. They've obtained their degrees and certificates for a reason, right? Part of me thinks they are aware, but let's face it, the healthcare field is a field that's going to forever continue to grow and thrive for a reason. It's big bucks in that space. And if they feel they can continue to get away with it and no one catches wind of it or take time to realize it, you have to ask yourself, can you blame them for doing so? Especially since a lot of these doctors and hospitals, just in general, are being paid under the table, if you will, to continue to utilize certain products, certain prescriptions, medicinal solutions. If they're being paid extra to do that, then again, can you blame them? Like, why not? That would be a topic for another video. We will go into it a bit further, but I am so excited about reading this book. So I will keep you guys posted. Today I want to focus on a topic more so about whether or not speakers, or to put it on more of a broader scope, spiritualists, are they truly in fact placed on some type of watch list? Dare I say those words? I want to give my own perspective on it, what I think is, what I find to be the case, in my opinion. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in. Could it be? If I had to say, I honestly think there may be some truth to that. That they, you know, anyone that's a speaker, whether you're a speaker in terms of, like, let's say a spiritual space, or let's say you're a speaker when it comes to, I just saw a banner fly by. That's so funny. I'm always getting sidetracked when I'm doing these videos. But not to digress. If you're one who speaks up when it comes to what's pious, what's right, when it comes to people, not only in reference to those on a national scale, like meaning in the United States, but just people in general on a global scale, I think there's some truth that some including myself, may be on a watch list. You never know. You never know what's being done behind the scenes. But you can't help but wonder if you start to notice a pattern where certain individuals who fit into a certain space seem to be having the same similar predicaments to come up in their day-to-day. It's kind of like that saying, things that make you say, that I often say in some of my videos. I noticed some of the things that I was encountering in my day-to-day and still am. I noticed that others are experiencing the same thing and they're starting to be vocal about it. Taking notice of this, you can't help but wonder what's really going on here. Furthermore, why? It makes you wonder, is it because people are becoming more aware of self? And if that is truly the case, why is that such a bad thing? You know, you find it that those who fit into the space of when it comes to spirituality or when it comes to other alternatives to better one's health, where you're not depending on medicinal solutions, but more so a holistic approach, you find that for some reason, the telescope is more magnified, is more zeroed in on those individuals. Speaking of a holistic approach, do you guys recall that story that happened, or that took place like a few years back, or several years ago, where I guess it was these individuals who were, we'll call them like holistic doctors in this case. They were on a plane and some weird freak accident happened where the plane crashed and none of them made it out. They were all going somewhere. I forgot what location they were going to, but I do remember when the story first rolled out. And I thought it was the most peculiar thing. Again, it's just things that make you say, If it is something that should be used as a tool to help towards the betterment of the collective, not only on a national scale, but also on just on a global scale overall, you can't help but wonder, like, why is that such a bad thing? Why can't we all have access to that knowledge? Why is it that those of us who are not a part of a certain tier in terms of society, why can't we not all have the same free exposure to those holistic solutions, or more so towards spiritual knowledge? Why is it that that type of material, you have to really go digging for it in order to find it? You know, but when it comes to those who are in a higher tier, if you will, they have full on access to it with no problem. When it comes to spiritual knowledge, why was this something that was hidden for so long, that only the top tier could gain knowledge of it with no problem? But let it be anyone else, any other onlookers that are not in the top tier, to gain an understanding of it, it's a problem, or it was a problem, meaning those in past times too. Again, just things that make you say, The very sad part about all of this is that those who fit into this space as a seer, like a speaker, or those who are more spiritually inclined, just, you know, to kind of group us all together as a whole. Some of us could be some of the sweetest people that you'll ever come across. but we're zeroed out, or not zeroed out, but you know, when I say zeroed out, meaning like we're separated from the rest of the masses, if you will, when it comes to being washed, because we've acquired or gained some sense of knowing, some sense of knowledge. So my question for those who are in the behind the scenes orchestrating all of this, right? Again, I asked this in a previous video. Did you guys not foresee this time coming? Was this not ever shared with you that this was going to soon be something that was going to come down the pike, that people were going to start to become more aware of self, that they were going to start to end up getting visions and things shown to them in their day-to-day? It's just like, for a lot of us, it's like a light switch that just went off and we realized like, okay, time's up. For me personally, that's when I've always knew there was a higher power. I always knew that, you know, God being the head of it all was always there. The angel team, the spiritual realm was always there. You know, again, I put up in a previous video and I just saw a white butterfly. Yeah, I see it. Okay, I'm looking right at it. I've been seeing bumblebees and butterflies all morning. It's crazy. Not to digress. The point I want to drive home here is that, you know, if you kind of slow down, start paying close attention to what's around you, you'll see it's all being revealed to you for a reason. And a lot of the reasons why it's being revealed to some of us early on at this point is because it was meant for us to know at this time. Because we have a deeper knowing, a deeper calling of what we need to do in this time frame, in this plane. So, do understand that there's nothing else, there could be no one else, nothing else that is orchestrating all of this but a higher being. It has to be God. It has to be the spiritual realm that's doing it. It's so funny because I remember I put up a video recently saying that we are not alone. I truly hope that that video would give individuals something to think about. Take a look at it if you haven't had a chance to. It lets you know that we truly are not alone. And I would hope that we give people something to think about. And think about the time maybe someone may have shared this with you, maybe a friend or a family member or a coworker may have shared with you that they noticed they had some type of energy taking form around them, or they had some type of bizarre dream and they don't know why that was the case. Or if you hear someone who may be impoverished on the street and you might see them talking to themselves, don't write it off as, okay, this person is a complete loony bin. Don't do that. I was guilty of doing that. Even when I knew I had spiritual gifts, I still, early on, was so quick to kind of shun the idea of like, okay, this person may truly, in fact, be having an interaction with a being. So now, present day, if I ever hear a story from someone where they say that, oh, you know, I see angels, or, you know, I see orbs or things like that, while others around us may hear it and start laughing, I won't laugh with them. Because I know personally, from my own experience, and mind you, again, we're under no type of substance. Under no type of prescriptions, under no type of other, as you say, party substances or alcoholic beverages, nothing of that nature, just completely same, everyday, in present form. I know for a fact I was able to see it with my natural eye and still continue to see it. And the more you actually have these type of encounters, the more you become comfortable with it. I actually should do a story time on that with my first encounter. I think I might have to write that down, but that'll be for another video. So the point that I was trying to drive home here is that it's pretty unfortunate that those who do fit like into this space, being that of like a seer, a speaker, you know, I guess you could say more of a truth teller, those who are more so aligned in reference to the spiritual realm, those who are truly aware of self and want to help others to become more aware of self too, to know what their power truly is within, and that it goes beyond just, you know, your typical 9-to-5 job. It's sad that, again, that those individuals, including myself, we feel like we're you're a bit of the target because of that, for being vocal about it. It's something that for a lot of us is very exciting to share, but in a lot of ways, it makes us feel like we have to be in beast mode, if you will, when it comes to knowing this reality that we are truly being watched. I think the part that made it really obvious to me was the fact that, again, as I mentioned earlier on in this video, I started to see a pattern of what I've been encountering in my day-to-day. It's not anything to throw me off though, don't get it twisted. I think it's more so the fact that it's just more so the fact of noticing that there is a pattern. Yeah, it's a pattern, and it's a pattern where you notice that it's happening to various individuals, and it's very similar. The scenarios that we're running across amongst one another, it's not that conspicuous, it's not that different, to put it plainly. Could we ever get to a point in existence within this space where even those who don't have spiritual gifts, would they be open to just simply having that conversation, having that dialogue with us, and wanting to learn more, wanting to know more, like, how are you able to get this information? How are you able to see this come to fruition before it happens? How do you know when to pay attention to the signs and when not to? If you guys would just simply, instead of keeping us under a telescope, reach out. We don't bite. No comment. I almost said something there. I'm like, no. Okay, so we're gonna keep it PG. But sorry, my mind kind of went there a minute. But the point I want to drive here is we're open to being vocal and sharing that with you, just so you can know more about us too. I just think it's pretty telling because, as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm pretty sure you guys have your own connection with a spiritual group of sorts on your side too, right? But I just don't understand why you guys are not made aware of this, that this time is going to come, that people were going to start to become more aware of self. Why was this not shared with you? And sadly enough, you know, some people who start to notice the patterns and feel like they have no voice, they may decide to unalive themselves because they can't handle the pressure. But there's some of us who are too solid within self to know, I'm not gonna fold. That's the fun part. This is when you begin to truly understand who's truly built for this and who isn't. Yeah, I guess so. The message that I would want to leave others, like the onlookers, to consider. If you truly want to have a good understanding of how a lot of us are able to get these details, this information early on, if you really truly want to know more, and you're just very curious about it, the only thing I could pass on as a solution is just to speak to us. I mean, you guys see it, it's evident that we have it. You know, you guys are really wowed by it. To us, it's like, okay, this is normal. But if you truly want to know how we know and how we're informed, we'll be glad to share that with you. But it's all about communication. It truly is. And understanding that, you know, we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. That's the truth. So, yeah, it's just as simple as that, just communication. And not thinking of us as ones that are peculiar, you know. Understanding that we all are human, but some of us are, again, bestowed certain gifts for a reason for this lifetime. And just know it's not to harm anyone, to hurt anyone. It's more so towards helping others to become more aware of self, but in a good way, in a truly good way. You know what's interesting is because the very ones that you guys are doing this to, right? Who's to say that the very individual that you're doing this to, let's say your own children or your grandchildren, or maybe there is one in your family that you guys often viewed as the black sheep. Has it ever crossed your mind that they too may have some gift to some degree? And let's talk about the children. It's been a major topic around the children over the past few years for various reasons. I think we all know that, but I won't jump into that in this video. We can leave that for maybe another video, maybe. I think we all know what's going on with that, right? But I say all this to say, even with children are easily exposed to certain gifts early on. See, what happens is that with children, if they become vocal about what they've experienced or what type of dreams they've had or things that they've witnessed, right? If they speak on it, oftentimes parents or those loved ones that are, you know, looking over them in the physical form here in the space, would shun the idea. Like, no, Jimmy, you were envisioning things. You're seeing things, that's not there. That didn't happen. That type of social conditioning can cause a child to shut down internally, which would then in turn cut off their belief, their connection with the spiritual space. Rather, if Jimmy was surrounded by individuals who know that that space is real, i.e., like myself as an example, we would show them that it's okay that you've had those experiences. It's okay to talk about what you've seen, because we know that we can recall the times that we've had those experiences and encounters when we were children, and we were shunned for it because we spoke on it. We can recall the times that those same occurrences, or, you know, more expansive occurrences, start to happen in our adult years, which further confirmed the experiences we had when we were younger too, that we were shunned to speak on by other family members or onlookers because it was viewed as false. I would just hope that we can get to a point in time going forward where there will be more individuals like myself who will be more vocal about it, where we can also teach the younger generation to embrace it. Because let's be honest, the spiritual awakening is truly, truly here. You know, I see it every day, especially with the younger kids. You know, it's funny because people also fail to realize that animals, such as dogs, cats, you know, they can see energy too. It's funny, I can say the number of times that I've ran across people with their pets and somehow their pets are drawn to me. And they would actually have to look and be like, Jojo never did that. Or, you know, I don't know why Bamba gets so excited. Bamba is the name of this guy's pet that I remember talking to recently. Bamba seems to get so excited when he gets around him. You know, little things like that. And I said, I know. And I would just be looking at him. The dogs, I could be looking directly at me and just be so excited. But it's so funny because I'll look at the pet and I'll know exactly why they're reacting the way they are doing so at the moment while I'm standing there. It's like a sense of knowing, like you know why they are reacting to you in that form because they see. Dogs pick up on energy, cats pick up on energy too, beyond the natural eye. That's why. So for someone who isn't truly aware of, or who doesn't have a strong sense of knowing when it comes to the spiritual space, it's peculiar to them. They don't understand why. But for those of us who do know, and we see the pets notice it too, it's a pretty amazing thing. So the point I'm trying to drive home here with this part is that, you know, there needs to be more individuals who are willing to help even the younger generation be comfortable with what encounters they have when it comes to the spiritual space. And just know that it's not anything that's abnormal. It doesn't mean that it doesn't make you a freak, if you will. It doesn't mean that you're an oddball. It's just more so you're more connected. And to help usher those individuals into it rather than shun them for it and make them shut off from the idea of this actually taking place. If we have more people to do that, I think the future generations to follow, it would just simply be a beautiful experience for them going forward. Well, that's all for this video. What are you guys' thoughts about all this? When it comes to the fact that, you know, we are, meaning those who fit into more of the spiritual space, those who are more speakers, seers, truth tellers, things like that. What are you guys' thoughts about that as far as, I had a tongue twister there, as far as us being placed on more of like a watch list? Be interesting to hear what you guys have to say about that. Again, you know, sadly enough, there's some of us, well, not all of us, but there are some, let me just say some, there are some that tend to fold under this type of pressure because they feel like no one's going to believe them. No one's going to hear what I have to say. But there's some of us, baby, or as my mom used to say, honey, and she put emphasis on that Y part at the end, like honey, honey. There's some of us that are truly built for it and will not fold. And do know this. I hate using the word warning because it sounds like it's violent. And you know, some of us are not violent. Some of us have kind of pulled from that mindset. As I mentioned to you guys in a previous video, I used to be one that was truly a hothead, but I had no record. Like, it was no, like, it never got to the extent where I like had a criminal record or anything. My record's clean as a whistle. But when I say some of us are built for it, I meant that we're more solid within self. We have more of a better knowing of all that's going on. And just truly want others to see it too, and to embrace it, and just know it's a beautiful thing. Just imagine, because the fact that so many are becoming aware of self now, from young to, I was gonna say old, but I don't like using the term old. We'll go with the elderly. You know, it says a lot when you have people around you that ask like, oh, I keep seeing this number, I'm not sure why. Or, you know, I had this dream where I kept seeing this certain sign, not sure why. Like for instance, recently, a lot of us was talking about the idea of seeing the U-Haul lately. Let's talk about that. I know I've seen quite a few trucks around me in reference to a U-Haul, or I've seen quite a few trains along whatever route I was taking, like Amtrak trains, things like that. It never fails. So this is going to tie into another video, which I'll talk about some of these details, but it's more about signs and synchronicities and why you need to pay attention to the signs, because there could be a sign in it for you that you may want to take heed to. So with all that being said, we'll talk about that in another video. But yeah, I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts about all of this, as far as this whole notion of, could there actually be a watch list for those who are truth tellers, speakers, spiritualists? Spiritualists meaning like those who are in the spiritual realm, like into study the spiritual space, like tarot readers, you know, even those who may be in the religious sect, whether you're like a priest, priestess, pastor, you know, could it truly be in fact that any and all of those titles could we truly all be in fact on some special watch list? It's something worth thinking about. And if so, and if people were truly curious, why not just simply reach out and talk to us? Can't say that enough. You know, we're very, again, a lot of us are just sweet as pie. We're very peaceful. And would be open to sharing what bit of knowledge we have, what bit of knowledge we've acquired over time. It's something to give you, well, it's something to think about. And as I mentioned before, it's truly things that make you say, Yep, that is all for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't done so already. I do have consultations that are still open for the upcoming week, so if it is something that interests you, definitely take advantage of it. As always, you guys could continue to message me on my other platforms, or you can also do so through email. That's just as fine as well. But as always, I am definitely sending you guys with love and light, and I'll see you in the next video. Be blessed, you guys.